Well, let me continue our introduction of lesson 17 by introducing the directive hey. Some grammars call this the old accusative ending. Basically, there is a unaccented komatsu hey that is attached to certain nouns and adverbs to indicate direction. And if you go back into Proto-Semitic, this was actually the accusative ending, ah, back when there's case endings in a Proto-Semitic form of Hebrew. For the most part, those case endings have dropped out of the language, but with these forms, it has survived, and it indicates direction. So, for example, you have the word house, buy it, but then you could add a komatsu hey to the end of it, and you end up with a to the house would be, here you have the article hey, and you end up with a habaita, and that komatsu hey at the end means direction towards the house. So to the house is as if you had a preposition meaning to attached to it. Or take midbar, wilderness, where you can have hamidbara. Hamidbara would be towards the wilderness. Eretz is earth, but then you can have ha'artsa, towards the earth, or towards the land would be another meaning of it. And city ir becomes ha'ira, towards the city or to the city, and so on and so forth for all these other forms. One that's real common is sham, there, and then shama is to there. Old English would use the word thence, thence. And then yam, sea, you have yamma, towards the sea. And so that's the old accusative ending and directive hey. And what are you going to confuse it with? Well, it kind of looks like one, a feminine ending. It's not a feminine ending. It's the directive hey. To is going to look like a pronominal suffix, but it's not a pronominal suffix. For one thing, there's no mapik in it. So this is yet another form to be aware of. So let me move on to relative clauses. The first thing that Ross points out is that relative clauses often have a pleonastic pronoun or an extra pronoun that sounds a little redundant to our ears, but nonetheless they often occur. So here you have Gadolah ha'isha asher kavati lo la. The woman is great whom I wrote to her. And what it means is the woman to whom I wrote is great. And here the asher clause is modifying woman. Ha'isha asher katavti ba. The woman to whom I wrote, and then is implied great is the predicate adjective in this sentence. But literally, it's great is the woman who I wrote to her. And that sounds very clumsy in English, and therefore you would want to smooth it out when you translate it. But that's the construction that's used. You can also get a pleonastic adverb in these kinds of relative clause constructions. So there he gives you the example, Ze hamakom asher yashav sham. This is the place which he dwells there, or he dwelt there or sat there, sitter dweller, the two glosses for Yashav. And again, it's very clumsy English. This is a place which he sat there. And you'd want to reword that to what it actually means. This is a place where he sat. But again, that's the kind of construction you often get. Vocabulary. Darash means to seek or to inquire or to examine. It's related to the Jewish expression or word midrash, Jewish homiletical commentaries, but it has to do with seeking or inquiring about the meaning of the text or significance of it. Karat means to cut or to cut off. So if you're cutting off someone's hand, you would karat their hand. However, there is an idiom that you should be aware of, karat berit, which means to literally to cut a covenant, but it means to make a covenant or to make a treaty. Makar means to sell, and I always thought about selling my car, makar. But anyway, makar means, actually more precisely means he sold. Again, these are perfects, and perfects are usually past tense. And then kavar is to bury. Always remember that one because they kavared them over when they buried them. Anyway, kavar is to bury. And then you have saraf, to burn. It's related to seraph, the angelic creature that's mentioned only in Isaiah chapter 6, at least by that name. And one interpretation of a seraph is that he is a burning one that is all aglow in fire. It's also related to the term seraph, which means the, in some translations, the fiery serpents in Numbers chapter 21. And there's some debate over whether they were fiery serpents in the sense that they're that when they bit someone, the venom was fiery, or whether it has to do with their fire-looking color. But in either case, it is related to this root. And then you have Shabbat, which means to cease or to rest. Shabbat with a doubling, Sabbath is related to this term. The Sabbath is where you're supposed to Shabbat, to rest. And then we've run across in the grammar the word shamar, to keep or to guard or to watch. Very common word. And then as far as nouns, you have ahot, which is sister. We've had the word brother. The word sister is kind of strange. It looks like a feminine plural ending, though the noun is singular. And then we introduce the word berit, which goes along with karat. To karat a berit is to make a covenant, to cut a covenant, in the sense of making one. But anyway, berit is a covenant, or it can be a treaty. And the expression b'nai berit, the sons of the covenant, is the name of a Jewish service organization, b'nai berit. And then related to kavar, bury, is kever, grave. And then an adjective, hakam, is wise or skillful. Or if it's used substantively, it can be used of a wise man or a sage. Now the exercises are going to emphasize using the imperfect. So if it says he will do something, well, that implies an imperfect. Or He may keep them. Again, that would also be a imperfect. So you may get some modal usages in here, although most of them you must keep. That's another modal use. Those are all simply the imperfect forms that are there. So get to play with your new vocabulary and some of the old words in the imperfect. And then you'll also have opportunity to practice your reading aloud and translating, as is the usual pattern in this course. We'll do maybe the first one here. You have Bayom Hahu, Tishbot, Mikol Melach Teka, Ki Bo Shabbat Elohim. And that's in that day, by Yom Hahu, and then Tishbot, you, singular, masculine, will rest. Mikol, that's from, preposition men attached to the kol, which means all. You will rest from all, and then you have Melach take, that's rest from all your labor or occupation. Ki, because, bo, in it, Shabbat, rested God. God rested. That also asks you to parse the verbal forms. So you'd have to parse the first verbal form, which is tishbot. That would be a cal imperfect, second masculine singular. But then the other verb is Shabbat, which is a cal perfect, third masculine singular. Let me move on to some of the supplemental exercises from Clemens. This is from page 65 of David Clemens' Supplementary Exercises for Introducing Biblical Hebrew by Alan Ross. So here's the first one. Nidrosh et achenu v'vetka. And the meaning of that is, well, this is a cal imperfect, first common plural. We will seek, and then et, direct object marker, and then achenu, that would be our brothers. Ve beitka would be our brothers in the house, in your house. We will seek our brothers in your house. Go to sentence 2. Makara et susah laha hota. And that means, here you have a verb in the perfect. She sold. That's a cal perfect, third feminine singular. Et, direct object marker. Susah, her horse. And then ahot is sister. And then the la, too. And then the suffix her. She sold her horse to her sister. Then number 3, lo eshmor et mitzvotekem haraot. Lo is not, and then shamar is to keep. I will not keep, and then direct object marker, et. Then mitzvot is commandments. Should have a doubling there. I will not keep your commandments, and then it's haraot, your evil commandments. I will not keep your evil commandments. Number 4 has an ambiguity because tishmor can mean either she will bury or you will bury. But the pronominal suffix ka on your place indicates it must be you will bury. you will bury the